Welcome back, everybody, to the Aaron's High Cap Adventure Radio program. That is our intro music for our in-house legal alien, Zoltan Varga. Zoli, welcome back again. How you doing, buddy?
Still good, doing good.
That's good. I'm glad to see you in 5 minutes. You haven't changed. Okay.
Yeah.
Z, I got you on because I was thinking, hey, man, let me get Zoli on. I want to talk about night vision versus thermal scopes. And I just got my American Rifleman magazine in, and sure enough, there's an article there. I mean, total coincidence. I said, okay, that's meant to be. So I know you're very familiar with both of them, and so let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had them both, okay? And when you get one, it's great, but when you get the thermal, it's even better. So, Zoli, the show is yours. I'll interrupt when I think I got a question or something, but tell everybody what the deal is, and make sure we got you on the mic here. I want everybody to hear you loud and clear. See that pretty face, too. All right, go ahead.
Well, about night visions, you can break up to two big groups, one of the active and one of the passive night visions. The active night visions are needed an external light, like an IR beam or something,
Infrared,
to work. The passive ones have a more sensitive core in them, what makes all the external lights like the moon, the stars and everything, and use that additional light to create a clear image.
Is that a generation difference?
No,
Okay.
that's just working difference.
Okay.
Generation difference is first in 1944 the Germans used they called the vampire system. It was like a backpack size battery and like a big purse or
What, satchel of some sort?
sort of
Right.
size scope
Oh, okay.
on assault rifles, and they also had the technology put it on the Panther tanks, and that was the first ever night vision.
That must have been a
scopes.
major advancement back then. My gosh. See,
It was.
Yeah,
U.S. forces experienced that in the Ardennes.
I'll bet. Okay.
And after that, in the 50s, the technology started to using more precise and more smaller equipment, so they could manufacture different kind of cores. And the first generation night vision was born, and it, used by U.S. forces in the Korean War. They weren't with today's experience and today's technology. They weren't like great things, but they were way more than
Then you had before. You had
Anything.
nothing before, right?
yes. And their detection range was like up to 100, 150 yards.
That's a major difference when somebody else doesn't have the same equipment.
Yeah. After that, they changed the core technology, and for the second generations, made it more sensitive, and that was generation 2 when the detection range was like about 200, 250 yards. The generation 3 can go with the detection range up to 500 yards. And what you see is there are two major types, while the infrared cores in it, what has this greenish picture, and they have the white phosphorus, what is a gray and gray and white.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
They are making like really good pictures, especially the new ones. And there are also the digital, it's called the digital night visions, what technically a day and night scope, and it works different. It's not using anymore the core to make the picture, but use all the electronics and electronic image technology.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I got a pair of night vision binoculars, Gen 1, and I can go out to about 150 yards, focus it in, and it's not bad, man. It's pretty good for a Gen 1. I've seen Gen 3s, major difference. The price, of course, has increased dramatically. Had something to do with the tubes, I believe. Some of these things were surplus tubes from the military, if I read it correctly, that they were putting into these commercial items. But you get black spots, and some of them you would need infrared, like you were talking about, which takes a lot more power, more battery power. But it doesn't. The thing about it was it didn't penetrate. You would see, like, let's say you were looking at a bush, you could see the bush,
But nothing behind it.
Nothing behind it.
And also you can you cannot use without a special lens or a special filter a night vision, an electronic night vision, not a digital ones, but an electronic. If you bring it out in daytime, it's done. And all those black spots you are talking about is, imagine like a round glass tube with millions of little holes in it, where the electrons going and traveling.
Okay.
And those black spots are every single little tube groups what they burnt out because of the too much light.
Too much light. Okay. So especially if you're using surplus, you got the wear and tear of surplus, and then if you're not careful what you're doing, you're going to cause a whole bunch of black spots in there, and it'll hinder your vision.
Or if somebody just brings up a spotlight on you, it can damage your whole unit.
Well, the other thing too is, well, first of all, the night vision, like you just mentioned, has lens covers with pinholes through them.
Yeah.
So you could use it during the day, but like you said, if it's a super bright day, it still can have a tendency to burn and put black marks on your sight. But at nighttime, once you have the lenses open for full view, if you look at bright objects like street lamps or anything bright, that could potentially do some damage to your
Yes.
scope too, right?
Exactly.
So you have to be careful. Night vision's great. Now look, I've gotten some night vision binoculars for $250, and they work great for just the perimeter of my area. It works fantastic. If you want to go hunting and you want to get a further distance, you can spend more money, so on and so forth, et cetera, when it comes to night vision.
Yeah, that's why night vision are you can buy a digital night vision for around $500 now. But these are like rifle scopes.
How do you go from a tube to digital and still be night vision? Any idea?
I don't really know the
No,
technology
no.
behind, and what I know, I cannot really translate it.
Okay.
But
Because you had mentioned that it doesn't affect you with black spots, so I'm wondering if you're using the tubes, but it's transferring over to an electrical picture.
technically the electronical night vision have these tubes, and it has a really sensitive light sensitive film in them, and but the light travels in photons, and when they hit this film, it transfers the photons to electrons.
I got you. Okay.
And in the digital, the
Yeah.
whole thing is made by
What's
digital,
What's more amazing to me is the person who figured that out.
Yep.
You know, you got
Germans.
this. You got this. Okay. You got this device, and it's fantastic. It's like, who's the guy in the closet who thought this all out? You know, I think the TV was invented by a guy on a tractor, cutting rows of wheat or corn or something. He said, "Hey, I can put this on a tube," and you see, blah blah blah. But that's a different story. Okay. How do we make the jump now to thermal?
Well, let's go with the price, because as you said, you
Everybody,
both
sit down. Sit down when you hear this.
as you said, you bought your night vision goggles for $250.
$250. Yeah.
You can buy and you can go up at that's a Gen 1. Gen 3 or starts from about $3,500 up to six grand, or the most modern ones are like I saw on the internet for $13,000.
And that's just night vision.
Yeah.
Okay, now when you understand the difference between the two, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see why night vision. Why would I do night vision? But that's my personal opinion. But go ahead.
Many people think that night vision has better picture than a thermoscope.
Not the scopes we got, buddy. Man, I'm telling you, the scopes we got are incredible.
Yeah.
And the price was not that much.
I'm in a couple hunting forums on Facebook, and one of them is about just specifically coyote hunting, and their most point of argument on the side of the night vision that they can identify more a coyote from a domestic dog because it makes more detailed pictures.
Well, maybe I don't know because I haven't owned a $3,500 night vision one, but I have owned a high price in thermal, so maybe there's an argument there.
Yeah, and about the thermoscopes, it's using a different wavelength than the night visions, and technically what it does is picks up all these heat signatures. But you go out in the daytime and you see it's really hot, and you can see the air is waving.
That's right.
These are the waves that the thermal picks up, and big advantage of the thermal, you can use daytime, nighttime, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Any kind of light condition.
That's right.
And the baseline of the thermals, like little handheld monocular thermals, you can buy for like $800 or something like that. You can buy a really good quality thermal. What we have, I bought mine for $2,600.
Right.
You paid about the same,
About the same, yeah.
and they go of course up to the roof. But the detection range of our particular scope is over a mile. And with practice, you can 100% identify targets up to 400 yards and tell that's a hog, that's a coyote, or is it a cow or a goat or something. But when you are like me out hunting and looking on a big cornfield or anywhere what is a major distance, and I see lots of little white or black heat dots, I know there's something, so
Right.
I can go closer, and it's worse to walk
Well,
there.
let's clarify. Let's say you got some tall grass. Using night vision, you'll miss them.
Yeah,
Okay, but if you got tall grass and you got hogs just below the grass line, you're going to see heat signatures.
yes,
And so you can circle around, sneak up on, identify. You know there's something there, and you can tell by the basic size of the heat signature what it is in general. And you can say, is it a friend or foe, and make your decision. But with night vision, you're limited to what you can see only in front of obstacles.
yes,
And so if you're a serious hunter and you want to see what I liked about it, I did this for one reason. I had night vision when I was hunting hogs, and I knew they were in the bush. But it's like, where are you going, man? It's nighttime. Where are you going? And I'm stuck. It's like, I know you're there, but I don't know which way you're going. So I got to just try to figure it out. With the thermals, I'm penetrating the bush about 15 to 20 yards.
yeah.
And it says, okay, there you are. I can track you now and get my kill. So that was one of the major sells for me when it came to thermal. And they got all sorts of them. They got they're really streamlined now. Battery packs to go with them.
Video, like
Video,
the newer version and a little bit more. They go about $4,000 to $48,000 from that particular brand we have. It has the built-in battery pack and the built-in video recorder. Then you can actually videotape your hunt with sound and everything,
right.
and put it on Facebook and be happy with it.
What I liked about the one I've got now is the screen inside the screen.
Yeah.
Clarify that. Explain it in detail if you can. It magnifies what you're seeing, I think. Right.
Technically, the picture-in-picture function makes you have a whole big screen what you see, and the picture-in-picture gives you a bigger magnification on your crosshair.
Right. Right.
But like the thermal, technically, what I have is from 2.2 up to 12 by 12 magnification. But if I put the screen on screen, and that's what I use mostly, I can scan a whole bigger area and find what I want to shoot, and I don't need to adjust
Adjust it,
anything.
exactly.
I just
Let me say
using
that.
the
Let me say that
picture-in-picture.
again, because you're looking at the screen like you said. And you got your crosshairs through a typical scope, but on about the top portion, in 12 o'clock position, you got a smaller square, and it's magnifying already. Like Zoli said, your crosshair, and let's say you got the crosshair on an animal, and instead of getting the crosshair on an animal and then zooming into it, picture in picture, the second picture has the zoom in already of that animal. So like Zoli's saying, you're scanning real quick, object identified, all of a sudden you want to take the shot and you want a precision shot on the neck, shoulder, whatever. That secondary screen enables you to see it a lot quicker. And then all you got to do is look at the second screen to take your shot as compared to moving it back down.
Yeah.
Look at your other screen.
Also, thermals can remember guns. Like if you have 3 different kind of gun, or you're using 3 different kind of ammunition, you can put your thermal on one gun, zero it in, save it, and when you put it on another gun, you don't need to mess your zero. You just save the new zero in the next slot, and you can put back and forth the thermal with the guns
Right.
without worrying about too much difference.
Let's say you got 3 ARs, and you put them on 3 ARs that have different calibers, and you've got your Picatinny rails numbered. It should be about the same. If you just take it off, put it back on your designated numbers on the Picatinny rails, you shouldn't have to worry about re-zeroing at all.
Yes,
Okay.
but you have to use the same torque to fix up the.
That's right, yeah. Wouldn't
scope on
a
it.
quick detach take care of that?
It can, but
I think they say you got plus or minus 5 MOA, right?
0.5.
0.5. Okay. And basically, what
5
we're talking
MOA is a lot.
Yeah,
It's
and
5 inches and 100 yards.
what we're talking about is if you screw them on. If you'll notice, you put scopes on and you screw them on with your rings or whatever mounting mechanism you have. Depending on the torque, will depend on how much it's going to pull your scope. Whereas on a quick release, the scope's put on top of your quick release, and then the quick release is set on the weapon and then locked down. And when you lock it down, it should put it generally in the same spot
Yes,
within a certain
should.
MOA. Okay.
But a really good quick release mounts, what is really quality, and they are
Expensive. They're ex-
$500.
But they're expensive for a reason because they work.
Yeah.
I have one of those expensive ones, and it seems to work pretty good. Okay. All right, see, the clock's ticking. What else can we talk about? Anything else on that? There's definitely different brands, and within each brand there are different levels. Oh, can you explain the? I don't know the terminology. When you're moving the weapon, how quickly it processes, or the processor in it.
Yeah, it's called the refreshing,
Yeah. Okay.
and it's in the thermal. It's measured in hertz, megahertz, and the higher number you have, that's the faster your scope is processing the new pictures.
Give an example. So if I'm looking at something on the left side of the field and I'm going to transfer my scope and I'm going sweeping to the right, what does that actually mean to somebody who's looking through the scope?
Well, technically, it's like when you try to aim on a moving vehicle or a moving target, it's you have to put it in forward. Like when you're scanning and you have a low refreshing time, the target picture won't move that fast.
Right. So you have to move, wait, let it refresh, and then you're on live.
Not that drastically, but if you're shooting a moving target, like you're snoop up on a big pack of hogs and you want to make multiple kills, then you have to figure out technically, and that's experience, that how much do you have to aim in front, not just because of the moving, but also you have to count a little bit because of the refreshing time.
I may be catching you off guard here, but can't we shut that mechanism off? And if you shut that mechanism off where it refreshes itself, how would that work when you're actually, if it's in the off position? Because I remember reading that in the manual, and I never do it. I always have it refreshed, but I was always wondering if you shut it off, how does that affect
Oh no,
you?
that refreshing is a little different. Like it's more because of the quality of the image, and like if you see in a big heat spot like a campfire, or like a low heat spot, and that makes the picture side blurry. The refreshing you're talking about, what we have the manual, the automatic, and the like semi-auto or whatever.
Okay.
It's refreshing the picture to make the site constantly with the same quality of image.
Okay. All right. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, we're running out of time, and I gotta get Master Key on here pretty quick. But Zoli, that's a really good and quick, brief explanation between the two. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking to get night vision or thermal, this is a video you might want to review come Tuesday or so, and you pick up and take some notes on a couple of things you might want to look for, and then start scanning on the internet or whatever. Actually, go to ANC Firearms, and they can square your way too. But if you're gonna go night vision or thermal, and you got it, I'd go thermal. That's my personal opinion, because you can just do a lot more with it. Okay, Zoli, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you always coming on the show. Trey.